All right. So the first type of motion that we looked at was linear motion, or the motion in a straight line. And then we've been looking at rotational motion when objects rotate or spin around a point or an axis. And we only looked at the special case where axis was fixed or motion was around a fixed point, or in axis that was moving in a straight line, motion was still rotational. The third type of motion that we see in nature, a lot of natural examples and also man-made examples, is the to and fro motion. When an object or a particle goes back and forth. Okay. Now this is very general, and it appears in a lot of examples in nature. For example, the surface or the strings of a musical instrument, they are executing this to and fro motion, this vibration back and forth, right? For example, molecules of air, when a sound wave passes through the air or passing through the air, the molecules of air execute this type of motion back and forth. The other example is, for example, the, the, the quartz crystal in your wristwatch is doing that kind of motion. Molecules in a, or atoms in a solid execute this type of motion back and forth. Atoms in a molecule do this type of motion. So this is very common, this to and fro motion, not to mention my old car where I experienced this to and fro motion in the morning when I started. It vibrates very heavily. Okay, so different parts of an auto engine vibrate, right? And so from macroscopic scale to microscopic scale, this to and fro motion is there. Okay, and it's again very general. A very special case of this motion is called simple harmonic motion. Okay, generally the general to and fro motion may or may not be simple harmonic. Okay, a very special case of this motion, this to and fro motion, this back and forth motion, is called simple harmonic motion. Okay, I see that the screen got blurred. Do you see it clearly? No, I think it's back. Okay, this is called simple harmonic motion. Okay, and the system that is exhibiting this motion is called simple harmonic oscillator. And when I went to school, physics was in Urdu, and this used to be called Sada Mosikai Harkat, and this was called Sada Ham Ahang Etizazgar. Okay, what a romantic name. And why it is the special case, I'll explain in a moment. Okay, but let's look at a system. Typically, we have a mass attached to a spring. Okay, and then the spring is attached to a fixed end. Okay, and we say that if we move this block from an equilibrium position, let's call that x naught. Okay, if we pull it away or push it and then release, then the spring exerts a force on this object, and this object starts back and forth motion. But this is a very simplified model system to convey the concepts very clearly. Always, all simple harmonic oscillators are not always a block and a spring and a wall. Okay, simple harmonic oscillators, as I said before, can be a molecule. Okay, it can be a building. Say any rigid object which has the ability or tendency to restore back when pushed out of its equilibrium position can be in some limit modeled as a simple harmonic oscillator. It can be a bridge, it can be a building, it can be the surface of a musical instrument like a drum. Okay, so any rigid object which you push or hit out of the equilibrium position, it's where the force on it is zero. Okay, it would start, and there is a restoring force so that it tries to restore its equilibrium position. Any such system can be modeled as a simple harmonic oscillator. That is why simple harmonic motion or simple harmonic oscillator is everywhere in physics, from quantum mechanics to classical mechanics, quantum field theory, from atomic physics to lasers. Everywhere we have this motion appearing everywhere in physics, but that's not it. It also appears in engineering problems. For example, if you're a civil engineer and you're trying to design a bridge or you're trying to design a building, you would want to be sure that you design a building in such a way, hopefully we will see in the next lecture, that it is earthquake resistant, and how earthquake energy or how earthquakes can be lethal for certain types of buildings. Yes?
सर अभी आपने बोला था कि a building or bridge can also be considered to have simple harmonic motion, तो मतलब उसका तो to and fro motion नहीं ना होगा, मतलब जितनी भी उसको force दे दें वो तो अपनी जगह पे ही रहेगा ना, तो उसका तो motion ही नहीं होगा.
क्यों? अगर एक बिल्डिंग है, टावर
हाँ.
अपार्टमेंट बिल्डिंग है, ठीक है,
सही.
ठीक है, तो जब अर्थक्वेक आता है तो ये बिल्डिंग क्या करती है? Doesn't it swing?
So वो swing क्योंकि मतलब वो swing होती है.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm. नहीं, वो तो collapse is a particular condition. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Any rigid structure that once pushed out of its equilibrium position and tries to restore its equilibrium position in some limit, again in some limit, is a simple harmonic oscillator. Okay, a building is a simple harmonic oscillator. Okay, a bridge can be modeled as a simple harmonic oscillator to some limit. Okay, we'll see what that limit is. All right. Okay. So bridge can also be a simple, so any rigid structure, okay, from a molecule, from a helium from a hydrogen molecule or a nitrogen molecule with two atoms attached to each other with an attractive force, if you push them apart and leave them, they would keep oscillating. Okay. Now this restoring force, that is the important thing. The force that restores, that brings this thing back, whether it's this, whether it's building or a pendulum, anything. If that force, the restoring force, has this exact form, minus kx, any resultant motion, and this doesn't have to be minus kx. This is, sorry, in reality, it's not always minus kx. It can have a very different dependence on position. Can be square of x, or can be any power of x, or can have any more detailed dependence on x. Okay, if the force, the restoring force that is bringing these objects back to their equilibrium position, if this force is exact this shape, this linear dependence, okay, on position, the resulting motion is called the simple harmonic motion. So see, this is a special case of the to and fro motion. To and fro motion, any motion that is back and forth, but all those types of motion, more general forms, can have different types of forces restoring their equilibrium position. But if that restoring force is of this shape, then that's a special case. Then any motion, any to and fro motion, is simple harmonic motion. And the system that exhibits that is called simple harmonic oscillator. Okay, and the example is this, that if you swing this building too far away from its equilibrium position, the restoring force won't be kx. Okay, it would be something different. And that is when this motion won't be simple harmonic. Okay, because as you push the building away, the force would keep changing. The force would change. It would depend on x, and it won't change just linearly. It would become larger. Okay, and then that motion won't be simple harmonic. That is why I said usually for rigid objects, if you disturb them relatively by a relatively small amount, typically within a small range of their equilibrium position, typically the force is like this. But if you push them too far, the force is no more like this. Okay, that's called small amplitude approximation. That's what I meant by in some limit, all objects in nature, rigid objects, exhibit simple harmonic motion. That is, if you don't push them too far away from their equilibrium position. For example, if you push this block too far away, probably the spring would get permanently deformed and you would never come back. But between these two extremes, that you push a little bit away from the equilibrium position and the spring deforming, in between, there would be a critical point beyond which the force won't have this dependence, would have some different dependence. And then it won't be simple harmonic motion any longer. Okay. Now, having said that, again, we would go back to our favorite block and spring system and try to solve the equation of motion, the Newton's second law. Okay. And let me write it like this. Okay. Now I can write. And sorry, one more thing before I move on about the force. You see, if the displacement is on the right side, if I've pushed the block on the right side, what is the direction of the force?
Left.
Towards
Towards
left.
it.
So the force is always countering the displacement, the disturbance. Okay, it's trying to bring the object back. And when the displacement is on the left side, then the force is pointing rightward. This trying to bring it back to the equilibrium position. So it always opposes the move away from the equilibrium. So A, as you know, we can write dv over dt. Okay, but then I can write also dv as v as a dv over dt. So it's a second derivative of the position, no? X, right? And what is force here? Minus kx. Okay, so let me just rewrite this. Let's take this m on the other side, okay, and then introduce a new variable, which we will see what it means. Omega square is equal to k over m. Okay, so something that we are defining. Okay, and then this equation becomes, let me write on the next board. D square over dt square minus omega naught squared x. Okay, so we get an equation of motion, and we will see what omega naught is once we are done doing this problem. Okay. Now, this type of equations, okay, when we were doing solving or using Newton's second law to find acceleration and position in different problems, we nearly always had the force in numerical numbers, or it was much in a much simpler form. It wasn't dependent on position, but now we have force that depends on the position. Okay, and the equation that we have here is, of course, the objective is to find position as a function of time. That is our objective. Right? Now, now we have this symbolic equation. This type of equations in mathematics or physics are called differential equations. Okay. And this particular equation is a second order differential equation. Second order because it involves two derivatives. Okay, and solving, that is what it means. Finding x of t from an equation like this is called solving a differential equation. Solving a differential. So if we could solve this equation, we would have found x of t, the position as a function of time. Remember, the time is with respect to which x is derivated, okay, being differentiated. And when you solve a differential equation like this, you always find this variable in terms of this variable, x as a function of time. Okay, and like integration, solving differential equations is more of an art than science, because there is no recipe. You have to do, there are tricks and techniques that work, but that depends on the nature of or the type of the equation and how difficult it is. All right. And one way of, for example, we use a trick to solve this equation. If you look at this equation very carefully, okay, what do you see? You see that if we take, so what we can say about x of t before knowing it, this is what we can say about before knowing it, that if you take two time derivatives of this x of t, okay, x of t is such a function that if you differentiate it with respect to time twice, with a constant multiplied, you get the function back. Okay. Before even solving, we can say this about, but that's exactly the definition of the equation. That is the equation, that if you differentiate x of t twice with respect to time, you get a constant multiplied by the function itself that we are looking for. Okay, and that helps a great deal because we can solve this equation. Do we know a function in mathematics whose double derivative is equal to itself to begin with? Let's say
E power
Sine and
x.
cos.
Sine ka derivative won't be equal to itself. Yes, but
E power x.
e power x, yes. So if you take the double derivative of ex with respect to, sorry, this should be time, et, double derivative of it with respect to et, you will get et. Okay, but the problem is it doesn't bring a minus here. Okay, that's a problem. So
sin x यूज कर लेंगे तो उसका डबल डेरिवेटिव would be equal to minus sin x, तो नेगेटिव साइन भी आ
yes,
जाएगा.
very good, yes. So the exponential is a good choice, but the problem is it doesn't bring a minus before here, and we need a minus here. Okay, so let's say if we choose this function to be cosine t and then take a double derivative, okay, this would give us minus cosine t. Okay, now but we want to solve this equation, so cosine t won't work. Okay, we need to take cosine omega naught t, right? Because this is what would give us omega square as well, minus omega square, no? So this is, as a starting point, this is a good guess. For the solution of this equation. And the way to check whenever you solve a differential equation using a trick like this, the way to check is plug it back in here and see if it's satisfied. So if you take x of t, differentiate it twice, you would get minus omega square cosine omega naught omega t, this function itself, multiplied by minus omega naught square. Okay, so this actually does satisfy the equation, but then this is not the most general solution. Why not? Because we are of course guessing, and if this solution works, a solution like this would also work.
सर सॉरी, एक चीज मैं सही तरह सही समझ नहीं आई. जो आपने x को मतलब e ऑफ एक्सपोनेंशियल या cos में क्यों कन्वर्ट करने की कोशिश की, हम उसको इस तरह नॉर्मली क्यों नहीं कर सकते? मतलब एज x, मतलब x की टर्म्स में क्यों नहीं रख सकते?
I mean, you never write a function in its own terms.
अच्छा अच्छा, ठीक ठीक। नहीं मतलब मैं फॉर इंस्टेंस मैं कह रहा हूँ कि मतलब आपने कॉज में क्यों स्पेसिफिकली या फिर ई में क्यों किया है, मतलब एक्स में क्यों नहीं सिर्फ कर सकते? मतलब वो जो आपने एक स्टेप किया है वो मैंने मिस कर दिया तो।
देखिए ना, ये फंक्शन हम फाइंड कर रहे हैं एक्स एज अ फंक्शन ऑफ टाइम, यही मतलब है इसको सॉल्व करने का। ये पता चल समझ आ गई बात आपको?
हाँ जी, ये तो समझ आ गई, यस यस, ये तो समझ आ गई।
तब एक्स एज अ फंक्शन ऑफ टाइम जो मर्जी हो, वो एक्स एज अ फंक्शन ऑफ टाइम एक्स का फंक्शन तो नहीं होगा ना।
ओह
दैट्स
अच्छा, तो ठीक
इट वुड बी
ठीक।
टाइम का ही फंक्शन होगा ना, और टाइम की फंक्शन में हम इट कुड बी एनीथिंग, बट देन वी आर यूजिंग दिस आर्गुमेंट दैट एक्स as a function of time is a kind of function whose double derivative gives you the function itself multiplied by minus omega naught square. And this helped me guess that the solution would be one of these two functions, because one of these two functions have this property, okay, the exponential and the trigonometric functions. And it seems the trigonometric functions fit the bill better because they also give me a negative sign on double derivative.
जी ठीक
Now we're trying to make it general, okay?
ठीक, थैंक यू सर, थैंक।
So this satisfies the equation, but this is not the most general one. Omega naught t plus phi, a constant, would also equally well satisfy the equation, right? You can check. But again, this is still not the most general form of the equation. X of t multiplied by a constant cosine omega naught t plus phi also satisfies the equation. You can check. This is more general. There can be an even general form. And I'll, जी अरीबा,
सर इसके अंदर जो आपने ये जो सब कुछ किया, ये आपने कॉस के साथ किया, ये साइन के साथ क्यों नहीं हो सकता? क्योंकि उसका भी डबल डेरिवेटिव वुड गिव अस अ नेगेटिव साइन विद द ओरिजिनल वन।
yes, perfectly fine. Sign is also fine. It's just an arbitrary choice. No particular
नहीं
reason.
सर, आंसर अफेक्ट नहीं होगा कि अगर हम साइन के साथ करें या कॉस के साथ, क्योंकि दोनों में से कोई भी हो सकता है आई थिंक।
दोनों both are valid solutions. And in fact, in some books you may find that they have done with sign.
अच्छा, तो इसमें फर्क नहीं पड़ता if we use sin or cos?
No.
सही, थैंक यू सर।
Okay. All right. So now we have x of t, and this would be the same solution. Actually, an even general and better choice would be x of t equals x naught plus a cosine omega naught t plus phi all right. All right, this is the most general. Okay,
Explain how we got A again.
it's just again because this is a not very rigorous method to solve a differential equation. Okay, so we arrived at cosine t. You agree with that, right? The cosine t is a good choice. Okay, but then
But
I
sir,
said cosine omega naught t is a good choice, right? You agree with that?
yes, yes.
Once you agree with that, now tell me what is the problem with cosine omega naught t plus phi? It's equally good choice. That's all I'm saying. It satisfies the equation as good
Yes.
as cosine omega naught t. Okay. What I am trying to do is trying to get to the most general solution. Okay, and you will see what is the difference between what these additional things that I am plugging in, how important they are. Okay, it's very similar to this argument. It's very similar to this argument that they, how do you say, the integration of
Wasn't but a general case, but in this case, A would be 1, minus 1.
wait. So let's say if you're taking the derivative of x plus c, okay, and then you take the derivative with respect to t, all you would get is dx of dt. Okay, this constant disappears, right?
Yes.
When you go from take the derivative, when you are integrating, okay, when you are integrating, you add a constant of integration, don't you?
Yes.
To make the
Yes.
solution most general, okay? This is a general solution. of this equation. It satisfies this equation, although x itself is a solution of this equation. Okay, but this is more general.
Hmm.
Okay, that's it.
Sir,
That's in this.
I'm asking about A, the constant A.
Yes.
If that's
Con-
general in this case, would A just be -1?
No, A can be anything actually. You will see in a minute what A can be. Okay, A
But
can be
wouldn't it
anything.
remain if we derivate x of t?
Sorry,
Wouldn't A remain if we derivate x of t?
if you derivate x of t and your criteria is you take the double derivative of this solution. Okay, do you
Yeah.
get on the right side minus omega naught squared times x? Do you get that or you don't? If you do get, then this is a legitimate solution.
Oh, okay, yes. Okay, I get it. Thank you, sir.
Okay, so this solution is equally good. Actually, this solution is equally good. And this is the most general solution because it anticipates from here, you can see. Okay, that, well, we'll talk about now. We have three constants here, okay? X naught, A, and phi.
सर मेरे दिमाग में एक और तरीका भी आ रहा है, पूछ सकता हूँ अभी?
जी पूछो।
सर जो आपने फर्स्ट इक्वेशन डाली है माइनस ओमेगा स्क्वायर एक्स के टर्म्स में, जो है अगर हम उसको सिंपली ओमेगा को खोल दें और 2 पाई/t करके कर दें और फिर सारा कुछ खोल दें और फिर इंटीग्रेट कर दें इन टर्म्स ऑफ एक्स एंड टर्म्स ऑफ टी, तो वो भी फिर एक्स नहीं आ जाएगा उस तरह?
दोबारा बताएं, सॉरी मैंने सुना नहीं।
मतलब कि ओमेगा को आप खोल दें 2 पाई/t कर दें और
यहाँ
फिर
पे
उसके, हाँ
यहाँ पे
जी,
ठीक है।
और फिर उसके बाद आप उसको इन टर्म्स ऑफ एक्स एक साइड पे, इन टर्म्स ऑफ टी एक साइड पे, और फिर इंटीग्रेट कर दें, तो वो भी कुछ ऐसा नहीं बन जाएगा?
नहीं देखे ना, वो इंटीग्रेशन तो यही है। इफ यू डू करेक्ट इंटीग्रेशन दैट्स व्हाट यू वुड गेट। सॉल्विंग डिफरेंशियल इक्वेशन लाइक दिस, दैट्स व्हाट वी हैव डन, वी हैव इंटीग्रेटेड। लेकिन वो कैपिटल टी कांस्टेंट होता है जिसको आप कंफ्यूज कर रहे हैं। ओमेगा,
तो
दैट्स अ टाइम
ठीक,
पीरियड,
और तो स्मॉल टी किस चीज को रिप्रेजेंट कर रहा है?
दैट्स द टाइम वेरिएबल।
ओके ओके,
And the
ठीक है,
capital
थैंक
time is a constant. That's for every system. It's just the period of the oscillation.
जी, ठीक, थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू।
Okay, so let's get rid of one of the constants here. But just to have, I wanted to put it here so that you have an idea. X naught basically denotes where your origin is, how far away your system is, how far away it is from the origin. So this indicates the equilibrium position. This is the position that simple harmonic oscillator tries to restore to. All right. So if we choose the origin, if you choose the equilibrium position to be at the origin, then x naught is 0. Okay, so this I wanted to add, for example, if you had a simple harmonic oscillator away from the origin, so its equilibrium position would be x naught. Okay, and if its equilibrium position is on the origin, then x naught is 0. Okay, that is where x naught comes from into the equation. Okay, A is simply, okay, you can, I'll explain how you find it. A is the amplitude of oscillation. Okay, this is how far you can go from on the right side first and then on the left side from the equilibrium position. So A is amplitude here. Okay, it can be 1, it can be 20. So if you are moving, if your equilibrium position, so this is this, let me make this clear. If this is your coordinate system, okay, and you have a spring mass system, okay, and its equilibrium position is x equal to 10 centimeters, okay, that is x naught. All right, and then if it can go maximum 5 centimeters on either side, Okay, then A is 5 centimeters. Okay, two quantities now you know. X naught is equilibrium position and A is amplitude. So when it is at the rightmost, what would be the value of X of t?
15.
15. And that means simply X naught plus A. Okay, and what would be the xt at the leftmost point?
5.
5.
X naught minus A. All right, and so now you get what these two constants are representing in the solution, X naught and A. And you see how useful is the most general solution. Okay, because this solution is very bad because it says it can only go 1 centimeter away from the equilibrium position. That's a not good solution. Okay, this is the better solution because it leaves A and X naught as unknown. Depending on the configuration of the system, you will find out what the amplitude is, how far a particular oscillator can go from the equilibrium position. Different oscillators would go by different amount. Okay, and this tells you where are you located with respect to the origin of your coordinate system. Okay, and omega is just a constant that we know already because we know the strength of the spring and the mass of the system. So omega naught is a known already. Time is just a variable, the independent variable, and there's one quantity left, that is phi. Okay, this whole thing in the parenthesis is called phase. Okay, phase is exactly what it means. Okay, what phase is the oscillator in? Okay, for example, if this argument is 0, okay, the whole thing omega naught t plus phi is 0. Okay, what would be x of t?
X plus A हो जाएगा sir.
X naught
X
plus
naught plus
a
A.
at the rightmost extreme position, right? And when this argument, the whole argument is equal to pi by 2, so where is then oscillator?
X naught.
At the leftmost.
No, at x naught. Cosine 90 is 0. So
Right,
it would
right,
be
right.
at the equilibrium position. Okay, and when this is 180,
X naught minus A.
x naught minus a, and if it is 270,
X naught.
x naught, and when it is 2 pi,
X naught plus A.
back where it started, right? Where it was at time 0, right? Or at 0 phase. So this quantity determines the phase because the motion is periodic, back and forth. Okay, and this quantity tells us where in that back and forth the oscillator is in. Okay, that is why it is called phase. Okay, this phase goes back to, or it brings back this thing to where it started after a certain amount of time, and this tells us where on that on that period are we, and at a particular instant of time, because these two are constants, phi and omega. It's only time that is changing, and that is what is changing the phase. Okay, now what is phi? Phi is called the phase constant. That essentially gives us the freedom when to start the clock. Okay, it's exactly, in a way, is very it's how do you say, is analogous to x naught, where we choose the equilibrium position with respect to the origin in a very similar way. This tells us where to start the clock. Okay, if we want to start the clock at 0, okay, then we can set the phi to be 0. Okay, if we want to start the clock at some other time, then we can set phi to something else. Okay, make sense or no?
सर हमारी जो एक्स नॉट होगी वो हमेशा सेम रहेगी, और अगर हमने चेंज करना होगा तो हम फेज एंगल को चेंज करेंगे।
दोबारा बताएंगे?
हमारी जो एक्स नॉट होगी वो सेम रहेगी, और जब टी 0 पे होगा अगर हमें चेंज करना होगा तो हम फेज एंगल चेंज करेंगे ज्यादातर।
अगर आपने फेज चेंज करना है या क्या करना है, अगर या आपने क्लॉक चेंज करनी है कि क्लॉक कब सेट करनी है?
जी सर, क्लॉक अप सेट करनी है तो एक्स नॉट की तो वैल्यू वही रहेगी,
बिल्कुल,
और
x
हम
naught is
बस
the
फेज
choice
चेंज कर देंगे।
where you place your system, right? And then if you want to set your clock at whatever time, then you choose the value of phase, and that allows you to set the clock when to start recording the motion, okay, or start observing the motion.
ओके सर।
Okay, but let's say if you set the phi to be 0, okay, then t0 would be 0. That's where you're starting your clock. Okay, in other words, let's try to make a plot of this, okay, and then it would become a bit more clear. But usually if you need to find these constants yourself, okay, so this is how you can do it. Usually what happens is that we know x at t equal to 0. These are called initial conditions. And whenever you solve in general a differential equation, you get a general solution. And to get a particular solution, you need to know the initial conditions. In a similar way, we have written the general solution of our problem. That is this. Now we want to find out a particular solution. And a particular solution depends on the specific conditions of the experiment that we are doing, okay? Specific conditions of the physical arrangement of your system, okay? So typically what happens is you know what x of t at t equal to 0 is, okay? And you know this, and you also typically know what the velocity of your oscillator at a given time t0 is, okay? If you know these two quantities, you can get actually from this equation, you can get another equation, okay? You can take the time derivative of this thing and you will get v of t, okay? This goes away, get minus omega naught sine omega naught t plus phi, okay? Now if you plug in t0 here, okay, t0 here, you will get x at time 0. We know that is something you should know, okay? And you will get one equation. So let me just write the equations for you. So xt of 0 would be simply a cosine phi, right? And or there would be, sorry, x naught here as well. And vt equals 0 would be minus a omega naught sine phi. And from here, you can solve it for phi and a. Okay. You need to know your equilibrium position as well, but that's something that you need to know anyway, where you're putting the origin of your system. So if you know x naught, then you can calculate from these two equations, you can calculate a and phi. Okay. So if we, so let's solve this. Let's say that we set the origin of our system at the equilibrium position. So that makes equilibrium position to be 0. Okay, that's a specific example. Then you say that when you turn the clock on at t equals to 0, okay, the x of t is also 0. You are at the equilibrium position. Okay. And then you also say, or no, sorry, let's make this one like this. So you say at time t equal to 0, you are at the rightmost point. Okay, and that is, let's call it x max or xm. Okay, and you are saying that when t is equal to 0, v of t is equal to 0. Okay, and now if you solve for this, you will get that phi turns out to be 0 for this situation, and a turns out to be xm. Okay, and our particular solution now would look like x of t xm cosine omega naught t. Okay, now let me try to plot this.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
सर मुझे ये चीज तो समझ आ गई कि अगर आपका x मतलब अगर आप इनिशियली x नॉट 0 रख रहे हो कि आपकी इक्विलिब्रियम पोजीशन इज ऑन द ओरिजिन और आपने टाइम भी 0 रखा तो आपका जो वो xt है इट वुड कम एट x मैक्सिमम और vt 0 होगा. आप मुझे ये बता सकते हैं कि आपको ये कैसे पता चला कि एक्सेलरेशन वुड बी इक्वल, अच्छा a इस केस में एक्सेलरेशन है या वो वाला a है जो कांस्टेंट था?
कहाँ पे है? नहीं, this a is not an acceleration. This is just a constant.
ओके फिर सही है.
Okay. So now let's try to plot this. Okay. X of t xm cosine omega naught.
सर वो बोर्ड नहीं नजर आ रहा.
Okay. And now let me try to plot this. This is t and this is x of t. Okay. So where are we on this graph when t is equal to 0?
सर xm पे आ जाएंगे.
xm. And this is no surprise because this is imposed by my initial conditions. I chose my initial conditions such a way that at t0 the oscillator was at xm. This special solution was found using the condition that I just said. Okay, so it is at xm. Okay, what about its position at when this whole argument is pi by 2? Okay, it would be at 0.
Yes.
Right, and then it would go to negative xm at 2 pi. So it will trace a sinusoidal
फिर
function.
pi by 4 पे नहीं जाएगा इंस्टेड ऑफ 2 pi जो आप कह रहे हैं?
जी,
नेगेटिव xm पे 3 pi by 4 पे नहीं जाएगा, आपने कहा 2 pi पे जाएगा वो नेगेटिव xm पे.
सॉरी पाई पे जाएगा, पाई पे.
हाँ
ठीक है,
सही.
ठीक है, and then it continues like this. Okay, one of the things you see, we were saying to and fro motion. To and fro motion can be anything. Okay, this you see, well, we knew that this is a to and fro motion, but this the true and fro motion, to and fro motion, when we solve it for Hooke's force, when force, the restoring force is minus kx, then we get this solution that this to and fro motion is exactly sinusoidal. Okay, and that is a signature of the simple harmonic motion. One thing. The second thing is that if I started the clock here, that is what phase means. Okay. Okay. Then initially my system would be at 0, and that would give me a solution like this would give me that. If I chose the phase to be the phase constant to be xm cosine omega naught plus pi by 2. Okay, अब इसमें देखें when t is 0, when t is 0, what is cosine?
0 सर.
cosine would be 1 because there is pi by 2.
सर pi by 2 पे cosine 0 नहीं होता?
G?
Pi by
जी,
2
sir.
पे cosine 0
Sorry,
होता है?
sorry, the other way around. Yes, cosine t is 0. Okay, now my starting point, if I plot this as a function of time, this plot would look like this. Okay, and I could equally like this, write this as no, somebody was asking the difference between sine and cosine. So just a difference of phase constant. Okay. And you see now at 0, the oscillator is at the equilibrium position. And here, in this case, at time 0, the oscillator is at on the rightmost position. Okay, you can choose the phase constant phi, which is 0 here, pi by 2 there. You can choose the phase constant in such a way that oscillator starts from the extreme left position. But the fashion in which it moves always remains sinusoidal in nature. The phase is only changing this point, this starting point, whether you start here, whether you start here, whether you start here, or in between. Okay, but once you go here, then you make a perfect sine wave. That is what phi is doing. Now look at xm. If you make the xm bigger, these oscillations would be bigger. And if you make xm smaller, then it would oscillate the, sorry, what is it called? The domain would be larger and smaller. And that is basically the amplitude, how far from the 0 position it goes above and below. And now if you want to bring it x naught is 0 here. But if you want to shift your origin and you say x naught is above the origin and my origin is here, the simple harmonic oscillator would be oscillating around this equilibrium position away from the origin. You can set this to be 0, and then both now xm, now they won't be related by xm minus or xm1. So you would have x min and x max. Okay, now this would be oscillating around this point to a minimum distance and a small distance. Sorry, and the largest on the right side and the largest on the left side. Okay, that is what x naught does. But you see the fashion in which this moves and how fast it goes back and forth only depends on the quantity called omega naught. Okay, and as you can see, omega naught is the angular frequency, is the frequency of oscillation of the simple harmonic oscillator, and it's intrinsic to the system. Okay, remember the definition. Omega naught square is equal to k over m, right? So it's intrinsic to the system. It depends on the force constant, okay, the restoring force at play, and the mass of the oscillator. Okay, so if you change any of these two, the frequency of oscillation would change. But you see, frequency is not related to the amplitude here. You could be oscillating 2 kilometers from an equilibrium position with the same frequency, and just 2 centimeters from the equilibrium position with the same frequency. And both oscillators can have the same frequency with very different amplitudes. All right, the frequency at which it oscillates only depends on if you change the force, okay, force constant in particular, or if you change the mass of the particle. So remember, and it's also frequency is related to the period 2 pi over t. And t is the time that the oscillator completes one complete cycle, goes from a given position, makes the whole trip, and comes back. That is time period, and the frequency and time period are related like this. So now let me just quickly ask you a question. Let's say we have an oxygen molecule, 2 oxygen atoms attached to each other. Okay. And we have a nitrogen molecules, 2 nitrogen atoms attached to each other. Would their frequency of oscillation be different?
Yes.
Why?
क्योंकि सर ऑक्सीजन के मॉलिक्यूल्स आर हेवियर देन नाइट्रोजन के मॉलिक्यूल्स, तो उसकी फ्रीक्वेंसी
Atoms.
हाँ, तो क्योंकि ऑक्सीजन हैज अ लार्जर मास, तो उसकी जो फ्रीक्वेंसी होगी वो अलग होगी इन कंपैरिजन टू आपका जो
Nitrogen.
नाइट्रोजन होते हैं.
Very good. But there is another thing that would be different, no? The bond strength is
भी
different.
चेंज हो जाएगा.
K भी change हो जाएगा. They are attached to each other through 2 different springs.
सही, बिल्कुल.
Both of the things are different. So if you have 2 identical masses attached to each other through 2 different springs, their frequency would be different.
Yes.
Or if you have 2 different masses attached to each other using 2 identical springs, that the frequency would be different. And then there is a third case when the both masses are different and the springs are different. Okay. And by the way, this is the situation. If you go back to the original equation when we wrote MA is equal to F, and then we introduced the in place of F minus KX, we assume that there is no friction involved. Okay, this is these equations and these graphs and these X of t is only valid when you have no friction involved. Okay, this is a frictionless harmonic oscillator. And then there are 2 other types of harmonic oscillators. Okay, one is called the damped harmonic oscillator, because anything that you put in to and fro motion. Let me think. For example, if you take a swing and you put the baby on it and you swing it, and then you leave, stop pushing, you see that it would keep swinging for a while, but slowly with time its amplitude would start becoming smaller and smaller, and at some point there would be no motion anymore. That happens because there is both the friction and the air resistance that is acting on the swing and the baby and taking energy out of the system and slowing it down. Okay, that is called a damped harmonic oscillator. Okay, and eventually it comes to stop. And then if you keep pushing the swing at the same exact period as the period of the swing, the natural frequency of the swing, then its amplitude keeps increasing. So you're giving the energy to the system from outside, and its amplitude keeps going up. And if you don't stop, then the amplitude would become very large at some point, and the swing could flip. That is called a driven harmonic oscillator. So there are 3 general types of harmonic oscillator: the frictionless, without any additional force. Of course, Kx is just internal. Okay, and then there are 2 other types of simple harmonic oscillator. One which has the external force, the friction as an external force, which damps it, and the other is the driven one. And then for a real harmonic oscillator would be when you put the equal amount of force, the driving force from outside, which simply is enough to counter the friction, then you would have again a stable harmonic oscillator that is both driven and damped, but the driving force is equal to the force of friction. So you're not increasing its amplitude, you're not damping its amplitude, it just maintains its amplitude. Okay, now let's look at this thing in terms of the energy. Okay, so what is kinetic energy of the oscillator? Half mv square, right? That would be the kinetic energy. And what is V here? Anyone? We did it a while ago, didn't we? It's just the derivative of x of
जी
t,
सर
right?
वो
X of t, and that would be minus xm omega naught sine omega naught t plus phi. Okay, that is what v is, right? So plug that v in here, and then you will get half m xm squared omega naught squared sine squared plus phi, right? And then you can simplify m with omega naught, because omega naught can be written as k over m, and then this becomes, and mass cancels, and this becomes simply half k xm squared sine squared omega naught t plus phi. All right. And now what about the potential energy? The potential energy is simply given as half kx square, right? And what is
वो
x?
k स्क्वायर
जी?
ये आपने ओमेगा स्क्वायर को जब सिंपलीफाई किया तो ओमेगा स्क्वायर इज k स्क्वायर ओवर m स्क्वायर है ना?
No, no, omega square is equal to k over m, not k square over m.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so half kx square, that's the potential energy. Okay, this is the kinetic energy and the potential. We know what k is, what x is, right? So if you substitute the value of x here, you would get xm square cosine square omega naught t plus phi. Okay. Sorry, just a unrelated clarification, not related to this lecture. In somewhere in the videos or in the previous lectures, I may have written or said tau is equal to I omega. Sorry, this was just a mispronunciation. I slipped. It is not correct. It's always I alpha. So I hope you all of you know or can correct this if you see this in the videos.
Sir, why is it a cos square? Isn't it sine square?
Sorry.
Isn't it sine square omega naught plus phi into xm square? K
Which
over
one?
2.
Which one?
So in the U equation,
कौन सी equation?
the equation for U, sir, won't it be half k xm square sine square omega naught t plus phi?
This one, why it is not sine square?
Yes.
Now look, wait. You have to be careful. This is kinetic energy. And this definition is half mv squared, right? And v is
Yes.
this one, derivative of x. Let me just write here. X is xm cosine omega naught t plus phi. That's x of t. That's what we calculated. That is the solution of our equation, right? If you take its
Yes.
derivative, if you take its time derivative, you will get v.
Yes. So,
So
sir,
this,
shouldn't it be sine square instead of cos square?
wait. इस ये पहले ये समझे ना. dx of dt is
Yes.
v, and v is xm omega naught sine omega naught plus phi. Okay, plus phi. अब मैं kinetic energy पहले कर रहा हूँ calculate. half mv, तो v की जगह पे क्या substitute किया? xm omega naught sine omega t plus phi. तो ये calculate कर लिया ना
Yes.
यहाँ तक. That is
Yes.
kinetic energy. And the story ends here for kinetic energy. That's a different thing. Potential energy. इसकी क्या definition है? Half kx squared. And then x का square लेना है, वो है x सामने, तो क्या आएगा?
Oh, okay.
x की वैल्यू यहाँ डालना है.
Interesting. Yes.
ठीक है. Now what would be the total energy? E,
Sum of energies.
sum of the energies, K plus E, okay? And this is kinetic energy, and this is potential energy, and this is simply equal to half K x m square. I'm just taking this common, and you get sine square omega naught t plus phi plus cosine square omega naught t plus phi Okay, make sure that you understand this equation. If there is a problem, let me know, okay? Just adding these two quantities, K and U, okay? And this half K xm square is the same in both quantities. I've just taken it common and then written as sine square omega naught t plus phi plus cosine square omega naught t plus phi. ठीक है ये?
सर आपने इसके ऊपर होल स्क्वायर क्यों डाला हुआ है?
और नहीं होल स्क्वायर ऐसे गलती से डाल दिया, सॉरी.
अच्छा, और फिर दूसरा मैंने पूछना था कि हम वो वाली आइडेंटिटी तो यूज कर सकते हैं कि sin square x plus cos square x equals 1, तो ये half k xm square नहीं हो जाएगा?
Yes, that's what I was going to do. Yes. So this whole thing is 1, and then we get half kx m square. Okay, that is the k plus e, sorry, the k plus u, and that is E, the total energy. And you see what is interesting here. Do you see anything interesting here? The interesting thing is that the kinetic energy depends on time. You see, as time changes, the kinetic energy changes. So is the case with the potential energy. It depends on time. As time changes, it changes. But their sum, K plus U, is independent of time. So it means the energy is constant or conserved, as you would expect for a system which has no external force. Remember, Kx is an internal force, minus Kx is an internal force. Okay? We did not introduce any friction, we did not introduce any driving force, anything from outside. Okay, so you could plot kinetic energy as a function of time. Okay, K. So you could plot. Okay, remember it is kinetic energy is half kx m squared. So, and sine squared oscillates between 0 and 1. Okay, so that's its maximum value, half kx m squared. So this point here is half k x m squared, and the kinetic energy K would go like this. Okay, and the potential energy, as you see, is a function of sine. Sorry, as a function of, oh, did I do it the opposite? Yes, so that's not correct. So kinetic energy should be sine 0 is 0. Sorry. So this is potential energy, U, and the kinetic energy at time t0 would be 0. So it would go like this. Okay, both of them are changing, and they don't go into negative because there are squares involved. They go to between 0 and the maximum value. And their sum, what about their sum? Their sum is always
Straight line
constant.
होगी sir.
Straight line here. When the potential energy is minimum, the kinetic energy is maximum. And you can also see it from the point of view of if this is your equilibrium position, when the oscillator is going away, it slows down. Okay, when it reaches the rightmost position, it comes to rest. Its velocity is 0. That means its kinetic energy K is 0. Okay, and its potential energy is maximum. That is when it is farthest away from the equilibrium position. Then when it comes back, it starts accelerating. Okay, and when it passes the equilibrium position, the potential energy is 0 because it is at the equilibrium position and its velocity is maximum. Okay, and that is the situation when the kinetic energy is maximum and the potential energy is 0. All right, and then so on and so forth. The cycle continues and all the energy remains in the system. It's a conserved energy system. Any questions so far? All right, so the last point is that simple harmonic motion is not just limited to forces. Okay, torques can also produce this. Now consider this. You have a mass attached with a string of length L. Okay, and there is a gravitational force pulling down on it, mg. Okay, what would be the torque about this point? Due to the gravitational force?
ये एंगल क्या बना रहा है?
Angle theta है. There are two ways of thinking. You can split the length into two components. Okay, the vertical component and the horizontal component, and the horizontal component would be L sine theta. And the torque, you know, is always the product of the force times the perpendicular distance from the point of rotation. Okay, so the torque, the magnitude of the torque would be simply mg L sine theta. Right, that is the torque that is acting on it. And now, I mean, you could choose coordinate system whichever way you like. It doesn't make a difference. The only thing that you need to be careful is that when the x is decreasing, okay, when you are on the right side of the equilibrium position, the torque is pointing in this direction. Okay, it's negative. When you are on this side of the equilibrium position and going in the positive direction, the torque is pointing in this direction. Once you are on this side, the torque is pointing in this direction. So now this is what we wrote for. This is where we get the vector equation for simple harmonic oscillator with the force ma is equal to F. Right? Then we wrote A as a double derivative of x equals minus kx, the force. In this case, the equation that we would be using is I alpha. Okay, I alpha equals the torque. Okay. And alpha here would be d square theta over dt. I, and this would be minus mgl sine theta. Right? Now that's a very similar. That's very similar. Okay, this equation is very similar to what we did already. Okay? The only okay, so you could plug in the value of the moment of inertia, which is simply ml square for this system. Okay, and then try to simplify it. This becomes d square theta over dt square, okay, equals minus g over L sine theta. All right. And now you know that, let's say that this theta is very small. Okay. In the small limit, sine theta is equal to theta, no? You know this?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So I can further write this equation to be d square theta over dt square equals minus g over L theta. Okay, it's exactly the same equation as before. Now from here,
सकते हैं कि ये मतलब हमारे पास कैसे आया कि sin theta is almost equal to theta.
this is an approximation when theta is very, very small. In the limit when theta is almost 0. There is a proper way to prove it, but you
तो
can, I
सर
think,
इससे
maybe
हमारी मतलब हम ये किस तरह कह सकते हैं कि थीटा विल बी मतलब वेरी वेरी स्मॉल.
अगर ये theta small नहीं होगा ना, then you would not
हाँ.
get simple harmonic motion. If you take a pendulum or swing and you swing it with a large amplitude, then it's no more a
Right.
simple harmonic oscillator, because this equation would not give you a simple harmonic oscillator. Okay, we are assuming we are imposing the small amplitude limit, something that I said in the very beginning. Okay, that
Okay.
that we just disturb this pendulum by a little bit from its equilibrium position in the small deviation or small amplitude, if you like. Okay, this would be a simple harmonic oscillator. So that is the approximation I'm introducing here. Okay.
Sir. Okay.
Sir, can you explain the minus sign that you gave with a minus mg sine theta over L?
The minus sign is only to explain that if you are on the right side of the equilibrium position, the torque is, so the motion is in this direction. Okay, and when you're on this side, the motion, when you're on the positive, sorry, this side of the motion is on this side. Okay, it's exactly the same argument as you would say for the
When you're
force.
on the extremes, the torque will point in the opposite direction.
So what I'm trying to say is the torque does the same thing as force. Analogously, the force tries to restore the equilibrium position. Okay. Similarly, the torque is trying to restore the equilibrium position. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And here you can define omega naught square theta, where omega naught is equal to G over L. So this is again intrinsic. Okay. G is the gravitational field, the gravitational acceleration. So on the surface of Earth, a pendulum's natural frequency would depend on G and its length. Again, two intrinsic things. It doesn't really, so if you take a pendulum, okay, and you swing it with different amplitudes, okay, its frequency won't change. The frequency of the pendulum changes only if you change G or if you change L. Okay, as long as the length of the string that it is attached with is the same, the frequency would remain same on the surface of Earth because you can't change G. Right? And then if you solve this for theta, you will get a solution that looks like this. Theta as a function of time equals theta max cosine omega naught t plus phi. Okay, and the period of oscillation would be 2 pi L over G. Okay. So the torque can also produce simple harmonic motion, right? And this is an example. Okay. Any questions so far?